watching the news too, man. Do you? You want one? I don't
Been going on all night.
I get one next meeting.
This meeting of the Starkville Board of Alderman will now come to order. Please rise for the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance, to be followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you have before you a copy of the written agenda. Are there any proposed revisions to the agenda as written?
Mayor,
Alderman Corey.
there should be a revised document at the table regarding the Mississippi Municipal League Conference. I will not be attending this year for the midwinter conference, and so unless there's any objections, I would move we put that on consent.
All right, the proposed revision from Alderman Corey is to place item 10E, the approval of the travel for the Board of Aldermen, the Chief Administrative Officer, the Finance Director, City Clerk, and the City Attorney to attend the MML Midwinter Conference in Jackson, Mississippi, as presented on the table, with revisions noted by Alderman Corey. Alderman Corey, is that your proposed revision to the agenda? Place that on consent.
Yes.
Any objection?
Mr. Mayor, y'all a little bit ahead of me on the table, so who's excluded? I'm sorry, Jim.
I'm not
Alderman
attending.
Corey is excluded.
And, well, let's
And I
get,
think we added dates too.
okay, good, and exclude Alderman Perkins. I'm gonna say the taxpayers some money.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe you're excluded. Let's make sure.
Okay, well, let's make sure. What's the date?
29th through 31st.
Okay, of January. Okay. We exclude Alderman Corey and Alderman Perkins and put the dates in. That's fine with me for consent.
Okay. That is as it reads.
Mayor, are you on that list to go to?
I am on that list.
Okay, maybe we need to start getting a report from y'all. Go down there and give us a report how the money's spent.
All right,
Go
I
ahead.
think we can arrange that.
Okay.
Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, that matter's been placed on the consent agenda. Alderman Corey, do you have further proposed revisions?
I was also going to move the minutes from December 11th, 2012, as presented.
Proposed revision from Alderman Corey is to place item 4A, the approval of the minutes from December 11th, 2012, of the special call meeting of the Starkville Board of Alderman to the consent agenda. Alderman Corey, is that your proposed revision?
It is.
Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, that matter's been placed on the consent agenda. Alderman Corey, do you have further proposed revisions?
That's it for me.
Any further proposed revisions from the remaining members of the board? Alderman Dumas.
Under board business, I'd like to add item A to consent.
Proposed revisions from Alderman Dumas is to place the revised personnel policy manual, revision to the personnel policy manual on resignations from the city as presented on the consent agenda. Alderman Dumas, is that your proposed revision?
It is.
Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, that matter's been placed on the consent agenda. Alderman Dumas, do you have further proposed revisions?
I do. I'd like to place item B on consent, but first I'd like Ms. Spruill to just give us a brief rundown of how you, the 10%, how did that come about?
In presenting that, I relied on the work that Mr. Griffith had done before he left. He did a search of the state and various cities that are comparable to us to determine those fees, and decided that we were a little bit under, and the 10% fits with the cost of inflation over the last 5 years, which is the last time they were revised.
Proposed revision, is that a proposed revision, Alderman
is,
Dumas?
yeah.
Proposed revision from Alderman Dumas is to place the approval of the fee schedule to coincide with the implementation of the new ICC code, effective date January 1st, 2013, as presented on the consent agenda. Alderman Dumas, that's your proposed revision?
It is.
Do I hear any objection?
All these fees will be up by 10% even.
Yes.
10% rounded to the nearest dollar.
Because some of them would have been like $1.20 or something, so either down or up, on which side of 50 cents.
Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, that matter's been placed on the consent agenda. Alderman Dumas, do you have further proposed
I do.
revisions?
Under board business, item G to consent.
Proposed revision from Alderman Dumas is to place item 10G on the consent agenda, and that is the approval of directing the Chief Administrative Officer to present the board an updated version of the current municipal boards and commissions with their status and a recommendation for handling the inactive and undermanned entities. Alderman Dumas, is that your proposed revision?
It is.
Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, that matter's been placed on the consent agenda.
And then finally, under personnel, both items to consent, please.
Proposed revision from Alderman Dumas is to place items 11H1 and 11H2 on the consent agenda. Those items are as follows. The approval of the promotion of Robert Barnes to fill the vacant position of crew leader for the landfill division of the Sanitation and Environmental Services Department, and as presented, and the approval of the hire of Ronald Tyler Hart to fill a vacant position of maintenance worker in the wastewater division of the Public Services Department, as presented as well. Alderman Dumas, is that your proposed revision?
It is.
Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, those matters have been placed on the consent agenda. Alderman Dumas, do you have further proposed revision?
I do not.
Are there any further proposed revisions from the remaining members of the board?
Mayor,
Alderman Carver.
in studying last night on this, I'd like to, just because I couldn't find it on my electronic packet, but the Finance Administration under Department Business, it was the budget amendment for the MDES. Might have been a glitch in my system, but I was just gonna take that off so we can discuss it. Item number 3, Finance Administration.
All right, that is item 11E3. That item has been removed from the consent agenda. Further proposed revisions to the agenda. Are there any further proposed revisions to the agenda? Any further proposed revisions? Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda as revised is in order.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Corey to approve the agenda as revised. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Sistrunk. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. You now have before you the approval of the consent agenda as revised. Is there any objection to the consent agenda as revised? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, the consent agenda as revised is approved. And since the minutes have gone on consent, that will take us to announcements by the mayor and board. I have one unscheduled announcement tonight, and then I'm going to proceed with the introduction of two employees. First, it is my pleasure to announce that the city of Starkville has just this week recently been named a certified public purchasing office by the Office of Purchasing and Travel. And this designation actually comes with Taylor Adams to the city, as he has completed mandatory certification for the city to have this designation. So it's my pleasure to present Mr. Adams with this certification, and let's give him a round of applause. All right, I'd now like to introduce the two newest members to the City of Starkville workforce. First, I'd like to introduce Bobby Smith. Bobby Smith has joined us as a maintenance worker in the new construction rehab division of the Public Services Department. Bobby is originally from Chicago, Illinois, but graduated from West Lowndes High School. Bobby is now a resident of Starkville. Bobby is a member of the U.S. Army National Guard and has recently returned from active duty. While in the Guard, Bobby served as a platoon leader and gained considerable experience, including skills in welding, brick masonry, and as a mechanic. Prior to coming to work for the City of Starkville, Bobby worked at Wendy's. Bobby enjoys spending time with his family, which includes his mother, Elizabeth Stanton, brothers, Sean Smith and Jimmy Staples, a sister, Tanisha Harper, and his fiancee, Pamela Hodges. Bobby also enjoys spending time with his extended family in the military. Bobby attends True Vine Baptist Church. Please join me in welcoming Bobby. It is now my pleasure to make a reintroduction. Stephen Morin has rejoined us as a firefighter, and he is coming back to us from the position that he formerly held. Stephen is a native of Eupora and graduated from Eupora High School. He attended numerous courses related to fire service as well as EMT training. Stephen is a level 2 fire instructor and has taught several classes on various firefighting skills. Stephen worked as a firefighter for the city from 2004 to 2010. For the last 2 years, Stephen has worked as a contract firefighter in Afghanistan. In addition to his fire service, Stephen is a general contractor. Stephen and his family, wife Danielle, and daughter Christina, Lindsay, and Ella attend First Baptist Church in Eupora. Please join me in saying welcome back, Stephen. All right, that concludes my announcements and comments this evening. Are there any announcements and comments from the members of the board? Alderman Perkins.
Mr. Mayor, just very briefly, just want to thank all of the citizens for their participation and attendance at our board meeting tonight. And I want to give also attention and recognition to two of my former colleagues here tonight. Miss Bill, she and I served together during my first term on the board from 93 to 97. She served 20 years from 1977 to 1997. And Dr. Zita and I served multiple terms together. I think, Dr. Zita, you collectively served, what, 4 terms, I believe? Okay, right, because we served from 93 to 2005. We served 3 terms together, and you served 1 term that preceded mine. So it was always a pleasure to see my distinguished colleagues, and I would have been remiss in my duties if I had not recognized y'all. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you.
Do we have any further comments from the members of the board? Any further comments from the members of the board? Any further comments? Seeing none, that will conclude the announcement and comment period for the members of the board, and we'll now move to citizen comments. At this time, any citizen wishing to make comments this evening may do so by coming forward, introducing yourself, and you'll be recognized to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes.
Okay, hi, my name is Sabrina Campbell. I am with Ward 7. Mr. Henry Vaughn, I give the honor to all of you. About 2 weeks ago, on Saturday, the 7th of December, my family, myself, my husband, my 8-year-old daughter, my 19-year-old college student, was verbally, mentally, and almost physically accosted by 3 of your police officers in our yard. My daughter left home, parked from our home, went through the little intersection here, went to the red light. Police officer had a roadblock, 8 houses up from where we live. Okay, you follow her, you stop, check her license, thinking she's dodging the roadblock. I can take that. You tell her, let me see your license. She does that. You tell her, well, okay, fine. We have a warrant for your arrest. No problem. For what? You tell her, well, we have a warrant for your arrest because you didn't pay your seatbelt ticket. We know that's not true 2 years ago, but since you live right there, man, we're gonna let you go. But before you do that, you take her through the ringer. She's devastated. She's crying. She's totally freaking out because this is a pre-med college student, great grades, never had any problems. She's calling her parents, and mom and dad are freaking out, scared to go back home. But I'm gonna let you go. They let her go. 10 minutes later, exactly, my husband pulls up in his driveway, our driveway, a house we paid for paying taxes on. 8 houses away, you have a roadblock, same roadblock. He pulls in to his driveway, 8 houses away from your roadblock, into his driveway, 2 officers turn around, come down to our home, pull in behind him, and say, may I see your license? No problem, sure. Why you came down there, I have no idea. Gives him the license. I pull up during this process. Okay, if you say anything, thank you, sir, we appreciate you being understanding. And leave. But they didn't do that. Mayor Wiseman, they did not do that. With my 19-year-old daughter putting back up, my 8-year-old daughter in front of me, and my husband standing there, okay, I showed you my license, what's the problem? I pull up, I says, ma'am, sir, what is the problem? You know what he tell me? Oh, there's no problem, ma'am. Everything he says is a racial comment. I said, sir, you're in our driveway, on our land, and he's sitting here with his family, and you're making all these statements to him. You're officer of the court. Why not just leave instead of constantly badgering him? And he's done nothing wrong but pulling his driveway in which we worked our butts off to buy this house. And all he's asking you to do is leave. He asked you to leave, just leave. He hasn't done anything but pull into his driveway. I said, was he speeding when he came into his driveway? No, ma'am. Did he run a red light? No, ma'am. So leave him alone. He's going in his house. He's walking into his house. The officer's behind him. I said, sir, you're officer of the court. This is what you do for me. I said, I plead with you. Leave. just leave our property like he asked you, just leave. And we're expecting him to do that, right? Instead of, this officer says, fine, we'll leave. But the other officer, and I have their names for you, Mayor Wiseman. The other officer goes, well, you know, when we enter your property, we don't have to leave. We take over your property. Now, I have cousins that have died over in Afghanistan, and I read come back here and die for whatever reason from being sick over there. And you tell me they died over there for an officer to come into my property and tell me once you enter my property, and I did not call you on my property, that you can come onto my property and declare this the police state when I know that's not where we live? And tell me physically what you will do to me in front of my 8-year-old, and when you see my 8-year-old crying and devastated, you become loud and you lunge toward me? Parker Wiseman, you cannot tell me that what they did was right. And you cannot tell me that they don't owe my family a public apology. And now I'm to the point where I seek legal representation because my kids are still upset. We still dealing with this every day. My 19-year-old is afraid to see police officers because she's afraid they're gonna stop her.
Your 3 minutes has expired. Let me ask you a question. Have you filled out an internal investigation complaint yet?
And no, I have not, because I want to come here first, Parker Wiseman, because I'm dealing with a chief that's not gonna do exactly nothing. He's not gonna do anything. He's never, ever has done anything.
All right. Could you do this for me? Could you come in tomorrow, and there's a complaint form to fill out anytime there's an allegation of police misconduct, and that triggers a process where an investigation goes all the way through the chain of command. Could you come in tomorrow and fill out that form so they can properly start an investigation on what happened?
Sure, and then what will happen, Mr. Wiseman?
You will get a notification as to the results of the investigation, and if you are not satisfied with that, please come see me.
And what's your time limit on those? What's normally the actual time limit that this process takes?
Chief, how long does it typically take?
Depends on what the facts and circumstances are. This is the first I've heard of it. We have a very thorough internal affairs complaint investigation that has to be started, initiated by the complainant coming forward and giving a written statement. We just got national accreditation. It's all been reviewed and approved by them. We have a very rigid, standard, fair process. But the first step is we have to have notification.
May I comment on that? Since
Yes,
you
ma'am.
did put that on the floor, Parker
Yes, ma'am.
Wiseman. Mayor Wiseman, forgive me, because I went to school with you, so sometimes I forget your mayor.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know, but see, I don't want this to be overshadowed by the accreditation you receive because that's collective accreditation. You can have 3 officers that have done a superior job, whereas you may have another 3 officers that have done a poor, and forgive my French, if I may be blunt, a poor butt job. Because anytime you come back from houses, 8 houses down, to a young man who has entered his driveway, just to say, can I check your license? Why? Why would you do that? What would be the purpose of that? And then when you say the situation is over, which it should not have been a situation, and you're following this gentleman to his house, a well-known coach, we've been in this community all our lives. We're both teachers. We're very respected in this neighborhood, but I shouldn't have to wear my socioeconomic status on my sleeve for you to give me the respect I deserve as a citizen, a taxpayer, and a regular voter. So your accreditation means nothing to me. It's the respect I expect and I deserve, because their behavior was disrespectful, demeaning, and disgraceful.
Yes, ma'am. And I assure you, the investigation process is a very, very serious matter. And it's viewed, it is reviewed by multiple levels of the chain of command within the department. But in order for that process to start, they do have to have a writing. So please come in tomorrow, fill out that form. And once you get your written response to that investigation, if you're not satisfied, please come see me.
Now, you know I'm gonna look for you to do that because, you know,
Ms. Campbell, keep your position. Mayor may be recognized.
You may.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of the board approving any policy for citizens' complaints. It appears to me what you just told her is inconsistent with ways that we have handled this. Now, I'm not speaking for or against the merit of her complaint. I don't know anything factually about it. So, but as to the policy, the process, and the procedure, I don't think we should subject the citizens to have to go and do some bureaucratic paperwork just to be heard. I mean, that's what these meetings are all about. We're about having an open meeting where the citizens can come in and express his or her views and be heard, and we are the body to hear this. So I think we have heard enough that can trigger an investigation. I mean, we have the chief administrative officer here that we have often, along with her department heads, to commence the investigation, give us a report. I think the proper way to do this, and being mindful of what citizens have to say in light of the fact that they take their time to come here. But I'm not expressing any position on the complaint, but I think to be consistent, we should we should have Ms. Spruill to ensure that the complaint is checked into, and also in light of the fact that the complainant is before the board, we need to be in charge of our complaints. We don't need her coming in and seeing you tomorrow. I mean, I've told you that before. We are the governing body. So what I would like to say, and to be consistent here, Ms. Spruill is our chief administrative officer. She's over these department heads, in my opinion, on a day-to-day basis. So she can get with the chief, and I want to hear the report. I mean, I'm not speaking for or against. I'm not saying anything wrong, but we need to be consistent. This is the first person, in my opinion, and I know we have not done it in my prior boards, my prior 16 years on this table. We need to be consistent. We don't need to be directing her to fill out no form. I want everybody who has a complaint to come here, whether it's against the fire department or the information technology or the sanitation environment service. We treat all of them the same. But to close my comments out, I would like for the board to just let this go out. Use your process, Ms. Spruill. And what I want to say is for us, just let Ms. Spruill check into this and get with the chief, and if they need to talk further with the complainant, they can talk with her, and Ms. Spruill can give us a report at least about our second meeting in January. Hopefully we can get out for the holidays. There's plenty of time. We're going to meet, I think, on January the 2nd. It's on a Wednesday. And then our next meeting after that should be January the 15th. I don't have the dates wrong in my head. So that's the way I should handle it. And so in light of your comments, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to move that, and hopefully we don't have to make a motion in the future, but I move that that the chief administrative officer ensure that this matter is fully investigated, and she can consult with whomever she desires, the chief of police and the complainant, and give the board a report at our second meeting in January of 2013. Ms. Spruill, that's January the 15th of 2013? Okay, and you give us a report. And I'm making that in the form of a motion only because the mayor had directed you to do something different. So I make that in the form of a motion, and hopefully we'll do everybody this way, but that's my motion, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Perkins has made a motion to task the chief administrative officer with following up on the complaint that was made this evening and making a report of her findings to the Board of Aldermen no later than the second meeting in January. Alderman Perkins, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Corey. Alderman Perkins, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion?
Mayor. In saying that, you asked her to come in and fill out a form. I just don't want to make sure we're breaking standard practice. Is there a reason, or has there been a precedent set or something why? I mean, I want to remain consistent. Is that normal practice?
We have a standard internal investigation process in the police department to which all allegations of police misconduct are referred to. And that is a rigorous process that starts with a writing by the complainant so that the written facts of what occurred can be analyzed and can go all the way through the chain of command.
And
Obviously, a board order could supersede that.
And to the best of your knowledge, how long has that been? How many years has that been going on? Or?
Chief, how long has the current internal investigations policy been in place?
Mr. Mayor, may we recognize?
You may.
Yeah, let's keep the conversation at the table. Mr. Mayor, we've had plenty of people coming up here before, and this is the first time that's been articulated from the table. This is just, I don't know why this is taking so much time to do this thing right, and we have had people coming up here the whole term, and this is the first time that
Alderman, in fact, it's not the first time. There have been people that
you
have
gonna
come
let
and
me-
spoken
I
in
have the
citizen
floor here.
comments, and I have referred them to the internal investigation process. I always refer somebody to the internal investigation process.
Well, my comments are that we've had numerous people here before, and I don't recall that being said in open meeting about it. We had many people complain during the whole term. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that. I don't know why this started tonight. But, hopefully as we get ready to end this year here, we'll start getting some things a lot better next year. And I'm looking forward to next year. Hopefully there'll be a lot of things different, and hopefully there'll be a lot of different things that's gonna come up to make things different. But that's my motion.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further?
I guess my question or comment is, as we have directed, when we have citizen complaints, and you're absolutely is very serious and it needs to be investigated, absolutely. I think somebody complaining about sanitation or public works, I think that's entirely different than somebody making a claim against a police officer, because to me, it's more serious. And I would want it to go through the proper procedure that we've done in the past. I don't think the board, I don't think we need city staff investigating police officers. I think we need to go to the internal policy that we've had in place for 20 years.
Mr. Mayor, if the board does not want to do this, then let them vote against it. I got a motion on the floor. This lady has a serious complaint. If you want to make this a red tape bureaucracy, deny her the motion. Let's go through what they want to do. I'm ready to vote on this.
Does anybody care
Alderman
what
Cicero.
I want to do? How about
Alderman-
asking me?
Hold on. Alderman Cicero.
I think what Alderman Perkins is asking is to have Ms. Sproul to coordinate this. And I think the very first step in that would be having a very complete discussion with Ms. Campbell, and probably winding up with the form completed that Chief Lindley's gonna need as they do that investigation. But I think what Mr. Perkins is asking is that Ms. Sproul coordinate all this, and I think that's an appropriate ask.
I can't recall being instructed.
Any further discussion? Alderman Ball.
I can't call being instructed for a citizen to fill a form out first. I can't recall that. I don't recall we doing that way. I don't. So, I go along with Alderman Perkins and Ms. Sistrom. After she visited with Ms. Sproul, then come down to fill in the form out. I go along with that, but just sending her to fill a form out, I don't agree with that, because we have never instructed no other citizen to do that. So I don't see why we got to do it that way.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Alderman Perkins' motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
By a vote of 6 in favor with 1 against, and the nay I have is Alderman Parker, this motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further
Thank you, Mr.
citizen
Campbell.
comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening to the mayor and board. My name is Alvin Turner. Ward 7. I'd like to recognize Vice Mayor Citron and Alderman Vaughn.
Thank you, Alvin.
Mr. Turner.
We the citizens, we are very traumatized now at a lot of things that happen. I had a friend at one time, I didn't know that she was schizophrenic, bipolar, until the relationship got started. I owned a 38 Smith & Wesson, which I had to get rid of after finding out that she was schizophrenic, Latin bipolar. But we need to, with everything that's been happening lately, we need to open up with prayer instead of a moment of silence. We had Jim Brady law after the guy got shot, that you had to have a 5-day waiting period before that you could be issued a weapon. And we are very afraid that ever since Columbine shooting, everyone is feeding off of that, and everything is getting out of hand. We have had Columbine, we have Virginia Tech, We have had the guy in the movie theater. We have had the recent thing that happened Friday. Blocks and sawed off and automatic weapons. We should be able to lock down on that to be more careful, because everybody's life is at stake, even the one that's supposed to protect us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Further citizen comment?
Mayor and Board, it's a privilege to be back here, but I don't want to sit in one of those chairs anymore.
Praise God. Praise the Lord. Praise
Is he
the
in your
Lord.
ward?
But it's good to be retired from this. But I want to address the item on the 10F, discussion and action regarding the municipal complex and related matters. I've been in touch with the architect of the present project, especially the new city hall, and have been really impressed with the plans. Briar Jones has done an excellent job. From the very beginning of this whole process, it goes back years. One of my visions was to have a new city hall at the end of Main Street to anchor that part of the town, and then to have a Main Street that's very busy, very active, all the way to the university. We don't have our square like Oxford, but we have our Main Street. And to anchor that part of Main Street with the new city hall, especially what I've seen as far as the preliminary drawings and the details of it, I think is a real winner personally. And I would love to be able to support it, although I vote mayor in the county. I do have a significant amount of property still in the city, and we hope to build something in the city and move back here for our winter home, although we spend the summers up in the mountains of Virginia. So again, I'd like to put my support behind this particular complex, which you're planning on doing. I think it's a real winner, and I would even like to be on a committee to help raise some private funds to try to make this thing happen and contribute significantly myself. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Dr. Zeta. Do we have any further citizen comments?
Nobody else, I guess I'll take the last of the chair. Good evening to everybody. Good evening to everybody.
Good evening.
Oh, okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, I would just like to say, my name is Dorothy Isaac, and of course, everybody know me, and I'm from Attorney Perkins' ward. You all know that. I'm coming tonight to say that Mr. Good, he's very good. He's been very good when he was up on the board. I used to get on him. But I'm coming back to say, if we had wanted this municipal building, we would have voted for it. I don't care what the judge ruled. I don't know if he paid taxes here in Starkville. But you know, tis the night before election, and I'm just wondering what's gonna happen. I would just like to say, this, and along with other progress that we have in our city, is not progress. We have places over here still on the other side of town we have no development for. We have a planning committee that should be opening their doors like this, you know, opening the doors for us to come up there and say, we like this and we like this and we would like to do this. On those planning committees, if you look up there at the greater Starkville district, you look up there, all you see is the people that they know. Get some citizens that want to do something and be progressive in what they do. And I would just like to say, Lord have mercy, on May, or whenever we started going up there to put, well, when we first go in and say we're gonna run, please run right. And say, is this my job or should I go home? Please, I ask y'all to consider that. Is this my job or should I go home? I've been very sick here lately, I have. This has been coming to me, I've been praying, I said, if we had wanted this municipal building, we would have voted for it. We got taxes coming now out our hands and feet, and we can hardly put it together. Good that people get to retire. When they get to retire, they don't have to pay all these taxes that we have to pay as young people. Please, please consider. If you're going back in office, consider that you did nothing. If you did nothing, and if you did something, consider, well, I may be appropriate for going back. Because when I get that on my door, I'm gonna say, go away. And I'm serious. I'm gonna say, go away because you hadn't did anything. Most of all, I smell that sewage every day coming from Carver Drive because I walk through there because we have a park. And I walk through there. That's unsanitation. It is. Do something. This is the end of the year, so maybe you got a few more months to prove what you can do. But I'm asking all of you, not just one or two. I'm asking all of you to consider this. And as Santa get up on his sleigh and go away, so Santa take my rights on up to the North Pole and Barnum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Isaac. Do we have any further citizen comments?
My only comments is Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all of you. And I'll be seeing some of you in January.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
Mr. Taylor.
Christmas.
Any further citizen comments? Do we have any further citizen comments? All right, seeing none, we have no public appearances scheduled tonight and no public hearings, no mayor's business. So we'll proceed directly to item 10C, the presentation on the function and capability of the new website. And this is really an exciting moment. Joel Clement, our IT director, has been working for about a year now with a private contractor to unveil a product that I think you're really, really going to like. So everybody, if you can, stay tuned.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your time, and board, thank you. We'll let the projector warm up here for a second.
Need any help getting that going?
Yeah, can you? Mayor, board, it is my pleasure to announce that we launched the new city website. Actually went live on Friday the 14th, and we did that so we'd have the weekend to work out any bugs. Everything seems to be going great so far. But it's more than a website, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about tonight. It's really an e-government web portal, and what does that mean? It's just a new way for the citizens to interact and communicate with the city government. So what makes it special, what makes it different from our old website, which our old website was coming up on about 7 years old. So in technology terms in general and website terms especially, that's pretty long in the tooth. It served us well, although it was very difficult to find anything on the old website. You had to click many times to get to the documentation or the information you were looking for. So that was one thing we hoped to alleviate. And also, the search functionality on the old website was just substandard. You just couldn't find what you were looking for. So those are a couple of the things that drove us to begin investigating getting a new website together. Plus, we just think this website looks a little bit better as well. It puts a new face on the city of Starkville. Hopefully, this is the first thing that folks come to when they're thinking about moving to the city or interacting with the city government. So we're excited about it from that aspect as well. So what do I mean by it's easier to find things on this site? Well, we have these nested menus. So if I want to go to engineering and streets, I'm one click away. And so I can find all the pertinent information related to engineering and streets. We have our contact information related to that department on the right-hand column of each subpage, and we're working on actually getting photographs out there. Right now, we're working on department heads, so we'll have a little more. You can put a name with a face. I chose the best looking one there. So after myself, of course. Didn't want to toot my own horn too much, but really it is about navigation. It's about finding what you need. So let's talk about this search functionality. So for instance, if I wanted to see everything on this website related to the helmet ordinance, I could just go over here and search for helmet. Yep. Just helmet. And it'll crawl the site, and it actually crawls down into the individual documents, not just the information on the pages. So it found 2010-6. Yep.
Anything we want, if citizens got, a lot of times people call me and ask about certain ordinances pertaining to.
Absolutely.
It's going to bring that ordinance number
Absolutely. So it actually crawled down into our document center and found 2010-6, which is in fact the helmet ordinance.
Is that linked minutes or Municode?
It's all internal to our site. Now we have a link to Municode, but it has all our ordinances, minutes, e-packets, anything that we have in our document center. It will crawl and find that keyword. And if it brings you back too much information, you can click this advanced search and you can narrow it down a little bit. You can exclude word search terms and you can include specific terms. So hopefully that's a lot more user friendly. You can find what you're looking for. It's all about transparency. We want to get all the information into the citizens' hands that we can. So besides that, besides being 1 or 2 clicks away or just a keyword search away from what you're looking for, what else makes this platform special? Well, this platform comes with a lot of really cool tools that I think, in fact, I know we're already getting some use out of, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later. One of the ones we're particularly excited about is the citizen request tracker, where you can report a concern. And right now we have a few categories populated out there, everything from animal control all the way down to drainage issues, mosquito control, things like that. And what happens here is the user, you do have to sign up for an account. So all we ask is your name and your email address, and you set up a password. But you can go in here, and if you need the mosquito truck to come down your street, you could actually fill out this form, include your address, submit it. It gets routed on the administrative side of the website to the appropriate personnel, the appropriate department, and it creates and tracks that incident. So there's forever a record that you went out there and requested this service, and then there's a record of who responded to it and how they responded to it, and then finally there's a record of the final disposition. The mosquito truck was dispatched to this neighborhood, and the ticket is closed. Thank you for using the request tracker. So we've actually already had, like I said, we went live Friday. We've had 6 requests that came through already. So somebody was waiting for us to go live, and they immediately submitted a request.
And it wasn't me.
And that's right. It was actually an outside request. So another really cool facet of this particular feature is that it actually has mobile apps where you can interface with the citizen request tracker. So if you have an iPhone, they're working on Android and Windows right now. I'm an Android guy myself, so I'm waiting on that. But they have an iPhone app, and they do have a Facebook app as well. So if you're out and about in Starkville, you can snap a picture of that issue you want to report. It get your location via GPS. You can upload it, and the city staff has a nice little map and a picture of exactly what you're talking about, and can dispatch a crew to take care of that.
So let me report a little bit on that on my trip to Boston. The most interesting expo part of that, Alderman Perkins, that I saw at the expo at the National League of Cities was a demo they gave on an Esri platform, which is an ArcGIS platform, that they had these tools. And so citizens, you basically, it's a citizen advocacy app basically, and you take a picture, you send it in, it tells you exactly where it is, takes the picture, it notifies the right person, which I thought was great. I actually set up a webinar today to do this and to talk to Joel about it, and then I find out that he's 10 months ahead of me, and he's already got it on our website. So I think that's very cool.
Thank you. Yep, we can do that.
Now, does that route to, so when you get the app, and you take a picture of a pothole, does it come to you, or does it know to go? Does the app give you the opportunity to send it to the street department?
You can select the category that it should go to, so it gets routed appropriately. So I think that's going to be really cool. I'm excited about that as well. I hope, and of course we're a city with a young population, in large part, and everybody's adopting mobile technology. Everybody's a smartphone, right? But we're particularly excited about that. Another interesting facet of this is the alert center. So I took a screenshot because I did not want to enact a live alert on the website. So this was from our testing phase, and you can see the bar across the top of the website. This is an emergency alert, and if I had typed a little more information in here, you would see that we could have a street closure or a boil water notice or even a severe weather alert, and you could click that and go to more detailed information about that. So that's a really nice feature as well. A lot of people sell that as a standalone platform, but we got that as part of this. And not only does it display that banner when you visit the site, but even better is the Notify Me functionality, where I can go in again if I've created an account, very easy to do. I can go in and select to receive emails and or text alerts from everything from the alert center. If we push an alert, it pushes out to your phone, your email account. Bid postings, if I'm interested in seeing every time we post a bid. Jobs, I think that's going to be particularly popular as well. News flash, calendar, anytime we update the calendar, and also when we post agendas and minutes. You can sign up, you can opt in to get these alerts. So I think and hope people will utilize that quite a bit as well. I mentioned online job applications. We've already had somebody apply for a job online. So somebody was waiting for the site to go live, and actually we have 2 job openings out there right now that you guys approved: battalion chief in the fire department, and community development director. You can actually do it the old-fashioned way. You can print out the form and send it in or bring it by. You can email departmental staff, or you can apply online, which we would encourage people to do. We'll keep your information there going forward if something else comes up that you might be interested in. Another cool feature, and there are a lot of features, and we could go on all night long, but I'm just hitting the high points. The community voice, it's kind of a sounding board. People can go on again once they've created an account, and what's your idea for the community? We have different categories here: community activities. Right now we hadn't had much use out of this, so everybody get out there and start putting some ideas out there. And you can have a dialogue with each other as citizens and with representatives of the government. And, you know, if something really takes off and there are a lot of activity around a certain subject, then maybe that's something we look at. So it's just a good way for the citizens to interact. And we've already got a couple of users they haven't posted anything, but they've signed up. So, and then one other thing that's coming soon, I'd hope to have an action item for you tonight to finalize the e-payment for the courts, the court fine e-payment. We have the City of Starkville Electric Department online already. Terry Kemp has his online portal to pay. But soon, and hopefully the next meeting, I will have that in front of you where we can actually accept court fine payments online. And via that same platform, shortly thereafter, we'll be able to accept business license payments online. And then shortly thereafter, we'll be able to accept building permit payments online. So hopefully you can interact as much through the website as you care to. So those are just some things coming down the pipe. The court payment will be live, we anticipate, by the end of January at the very latest. So we're particularly excited about that. I encourage the board, the mayor, the citizens to explore the website, to really crawl through it. It's never going to be finished. It's a living thing. It's organic. We welcome suggestions. We'll make changes, and that's what that community voice is all about. My contact information's on there. All other departmental contact information's on there. So we want to hear from the citizenry, and we want to make it better and more usable for them, because that's what it's all about. And just a quick plug about you know, how it's done in the past 2 working days since it went live. We've had over 1,000 unique visitors, 3,000 visits, 6 requests, like I mentioned, through the various departments, which are being responded to, and we've had 1 online job applicant as of when I walked down here at 5 o'clock today. So some folks are starting to use it. We hope that more and more people discover it. It is linked to our new social media accounts. We have a new Facebook page that we're building out, and a new Twitter account. So this is the new City of Starkville Facebook page that needs a little more content. But the cool thing about that is the alerts, all the bid postings, the agenda postings, things like that will push out to Facebook and Twitter without anybody having to do anything else, or boil water notices, things like that. So no matter how you choose to interact with the City of Starkville, if it's via electronic device, you should get notified if you choose to be notified. So with that, that's the quick overview of it. Again, please drill down into it, find out everything you can about it. Let me know what works, what doesn't work, what you'd like to see more of. With that, I'll open the floor to questions.
Before we hear from the board, Mr. Adams is asked to provide an update on the other billing functions on the website.
As it relates to e-pay, just and Joel's being very kind, the holdup on the e-pay thing was actually in my office. So, as you can imagine, if we're talking about accepting credit cards over the internet, that's a fairly involved process. But with Chris's assistance, those contracts actually routed back to me today, and they're already queued up for with Ms. Sproul's help for the January 2nd agenda. So as it relates to we don't want to slow Mr. Clements down any more than we already have, but we're really excited about this functionality. Thank you for bringing it to us, Joel.
Thank you, Joe.
Questions and comments from the members of the board?
Job well done.
Thank you.
Much
Appreciate it.
improved.
Further question, Alderman Sistrunk?
Yes, I want to say that I had forgotten the date that it was going live, and I went to the city's website this weekend and was stunned to find to find this. It's really pretty easy to use. I'm one of those late adapters that he was talking about, but it's really pretty easy to use. It's fairly intuitive, and I've asked Joel to show me a couple of things. He's been very helpful in doing that. But I would encourage everybody, departments, citizens, everybody, to look at it, try to use it. I think it will enhance your interactions with the city. It certainly will make some reporting a lot easier and give us a much better method for tracking some data. But if you do, Joel's very sincere. If you do find something that you think could be an improvement to that page, send him a request tracker.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're right, it is about collecting metrics. It shows us how efficient and effective we are. And there's some really cool mapping on the back end that can show a cluster of a specific kind of complaint. So if we're getting the same kind of complaint, you look at the map and there's just pinpoints all over it. It shows us, a quick visual representation of what we need to address. And speaking of the departments, I would like to thank all the departments and department heads, because the content is theirs. Without them, there would be no content on the site, and they've been extremely helpful. And I know I've been a pain over the last few months trying to work with, but thanks to them as well.
Further questions or comments for Mr. Clements?
Is there any type of, does the company who helped us with this, do they have any marketing side to them that, like the app side, it would be great to get an ad in the paper or some type
Absolutely.
of marketing push out there so
Absolutely.
that we can let people know about all the functionality.
We're planning on with Civic Plus, the company, the vendor. We're planning on doing an ad in the paper. And I've talked to Terry Kemp as well about including a flyer with the electric bill, and also a process for when folks come to get their electricity initiated. Have a form for them to say, hey, by the way, you can opt into these types of alerts from the city website. So we're really hitting it from many different angles to try to drive as many users to it as possible.
Yeah.
Further questions or comments for Mr. Clements? Any further questions or comments for Mr. Clements? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Clements.
Thank you.
Excellent job. And that will take us to the discussion on the municipal complex. Alderman Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the recognition. To the mayor, colleagues, and others, I placed the matter of the discussion and action of the municipal complex and related matters on tonight's agenda at the request of some of my constituents and other taxpayers throughout the city. Those taxpayers made it emphatically clear to me that they desire to be heard through the voting process on this matter. The constituents in question indicated that the city has previously given them the opportunity to vote on at least 2 occasions. And I felt compelled as their public servant and as the public servant to the city to bring this matter to the table tonight. One thing I want to mention is that when we first started talking about this project, it solely and basically pertained to the police department, so we do not need to lose that focus. It's my recollection that when the vote was taken in the past, the primary emphasis was on the police department. The matter that's been approved by the board on July 5, 2012 provides $6.7 million in financing for the City Hall at the old electric department building and $1.3 million for the renovation of the current City Hall for the police department. And I understand that the judge today, the judge, Honorable H.J. Davidson Jr., I think it's a 13-page opinion that came out today dated December 18, 2012, where he approved and validated the certificates of participation. But as one last plea for the taxpayers of this city who have expressed to me, they want to be heard, and of course, that's good government, when you allow the people the right to be heard. You know, we make numerous decisions through the voting process, and once the people speak, you know, then that's the bottom line. So whatever the people decide with the voting, then I'm fine with that. You know, the matter at hand is $8 million, and of course, the method of financing does not allow for the people the right to be heard through that process. It's basically paid for through annual appropriations, and I'm about to offer a motion, and you're going to hear that the motion going to talk about financing through the issuance of general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $3.5 million. The way that I arrived at that is that, you know, just looking at what we did with our electric department. At our electric department location, we acquired 3 different tracts of land. One tract we paid $125,000 for. Another tract we paid $85,000 for, maybe 80, but I think it's 85,000. And another tract was 85,000. So we paid $295,000. That's a good thing we did, and I supported that. That was $295,000, and the actual cost of the electric department was roughly more or less about $1.9 million. But I think there was a change order too that may have pushed it to $2 million, but not more than $2 million. So that would have been a cost about $2.3 million. And conservatively, you know, I think we could get us a good police station for not to exceed $3.5 million. We have a lot of needs in this city. Putting that type of pressure on the general fund for $8 million, that's a lot of money for a lease not to exceed 20 years. So even though the court approved this today, this is still just another opportunity to put this to the people. This matter could go to the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal, who knows? I mean, I guess we'll know within 30 days within appeal time. You know, unless that's a short time for the bonding issue, but most cases there's a 30-day notice of appeal. They have to be. That's a time period in which you have to file a notice of appeal within 30 days on most cases. But I don't know whether it'll be appealed, and certainly we'll probably incur some additional costs if it get appealed. But nevertheless, I think this is an opportunity to allow the people to go to the polls and vote, and we could put this bond issue on the ballot at the city's general election. The general election for the 2013 municipal election is June 4, 2013, which is always the first Tuesday in June. Of course, we don't need to do it in the primary, but that's a little bit soon. The primary election for 2013 is always the first Tuesday in May, and next year the primary election is going to be May 7, 2013. So. With that being said, I'm going to offer this motion here, and the motion is into 2 parts. Mr. Mayor, when I finish, you don't necessarily have to read it back to me. I already know what the motion says. I'm going to pass you a copy, and it's already reduced to writing, and so I don't need you to read it back, and I don't need to talk on it any further. So the motion says, number 1, to rescind all board action taken and approved regarding the certificates of participation for municipal purposes and for any other related purposes, and that the city shall not proceed with the certificates of participation. And number 2, that the city attorney shall be and is directed and ordered to take all action that is necessary and proper to prepare a referendum for official placement and inclusion on the June 4, 2013 ballot for the city's general election for the qualified electors of the city of Starkville, to vote to determine whether or not the city shall issue general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $3.5 million for the acquisition of land and constructing or renovating a building for only a police department / police station for related purposes. So just to recap that, number 1, it just says that we rescind all board action regarding certificate of participation, and we do not move forward. And then the second thing, that our attorney will prepare a referendum to go on the ballot for the general election for June 4, 2013, for the voters to decide whether or not to issue general obligation bond in an amount not to exceed $3.5 million solely for a police station / police department. and offer that, that motion has been reduced to writing, Mr. Mayor.
Motion made by Alderman Perkins has been read as reduced to writing. Without objection, I'm not going to reread the motion. Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, do I hear a second for Alderman Perkins' motion?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Carver. Alderman Perkins, do you wish to speak on the merits?
Just one final thing, Mr. Mayor, I'm not gonna be long. Our citizens have been, given a voice in the past on this matter. This motion is another opportunity for this governing body to give the citizens a voice. They want to be heard. This matter has been one of controversy throughout the years, and I think that the best way to bring this matter to a conclusion will be just to put it on the ballot, let the people go into the polling place and vote it up or down. And if it get voted up in the affirmative, and we move forward with the police station. But and reason and one last thing I want to say is they voted down, we don't move forward. But I want to keep emphasis that we always start with the police station, and we need to have this new building for the police station. And the building that we got now, the proposal on the table, you know, number one, is too much money. And number two, the people need to decide it. And number three, the police department has been the focal point. You know, the certificate of participation provides that 1.3 million are used to finance the renovation of this building with the overall emphasis on the city hall. So, but the main point to the public and the press and others here tonight of this whole motion, the overall point that I don't want you to miss is that the people want the right to be heard through the ballot box. And we need to give them that right on June 4, 2013. Mr. Mayor, and I yield the floor. Thank you.
Discussion. Alderman Court.
Well, first let me say that I will not be voting for this. You know, there's been a lot of discussion on this, not just in the course of this term, but in the course of the last decade. I kind of wish Dr. Zito was still here, because I think he was still on the board when the old Hunt Club location was talked about as a potential location back in like around 2000 or so. So this has been hashed and rehashed and fought and refought, and projects have been killed, and then others have come up, and then they've been killed again, and we just keep going in circles. And so I'm ready to move forward. You know, I know that I have several constituents of my own that are supportive of what we've done. I've had a few that are not, and that's certainly their right. And of course, it could also, the argument could also be made that they made a decision by voting us into office. This was perhaps the single most discussed issue in the campaign last time, and it will probably be the single most discussed issue depending on how things go in the next campaign that's starting. And so what really bothers me, and I think why I got mad when I first saw this, was because the whole basis for this is a single sheet of paper. This is it. This is the proposal. There's no supporting documentation. There's nothing that really goes into any kind of detail at all where this $3.5 million figure came from. I mean, if I had come into a board meeting, made a proposal like this for millions of dollars without even supporting documentation, y'all would laugh me out of here, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. And so, so that, you know, that bothers me, and that it was put on the last meeting before qualifying for elections begins, because elections are going to start in January, and we all know it's here upon us. To be presented to us at the last meeting before people qualify to start running for office is, to me, pure political theater. And if a real proposal was, if the intent was to bring a real proposal, one that would actually provide a real alternative, there would be more to it than just this.
Mr. Mayor, may I recognize?
You may.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much.
I wasn't done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alderman Court still has the floor.
Sorry. Yeah, we don't want to cut him short. So, I'm sorry.
And so, I mean, I guess there's really not more I can add to this, but I will say that I'm glad I'm not running for a third term in office, because this kind of stuff will truly wear on you, and it will wear you down. And anyone that's been in office knows that, you know, it's a difficult job. It's a thankless job, and part of why it's sometimes so difficult is because we have to deal with issues like this. And I'm done.
Yes, ma'am.
Alderman Perkins.
Yes, ma'am, thank you very much. I'm gonna try to be as scholarly and intellectual as I can. Got a couple of degrees from Mississippi State, a doctorate of jurisprudence from Mississippi College School of Law. And, you know, it seemed like most of this term, and also in some prior years, that there have been a lot of attacks directed to Alderman Perkins, but you know, I'm a Marine, I'm a frontline soldier. I mean, I can stand any attacks, and there's no problem. There's no policy, there's no procedure, and we don't want to lose the focal point on this whole thing, but I got to address this in rebuttal. But you know, there's no policies that states when Alderman Perkins or any other alderman can bring something. I mean, when somebody just brings something to the table, I don't sit here and complain this is the wrong meeting. All these assumptions and speculation where he's being political. I mean, look, I'm a scholar, I'm a lawyer. I'm bound by ethics. You know, I feel that you know my constituents, Tim, they appreciate me. I try to be a person of highest standards, but the point is, you got to understand any alderman can bring anything they want. I can talk about it every meeting if I want to, but I'm not going to do that. You know, and I'm not going to stoop as low as saying that things that other aldermen have brought, you know, is stooping low. I mean, you don't do that. You got to have class and dignity at this table, you know, and that's what I always try to exemplify here. I mean, I can bring anything out. If you don't like it, just vote it down. I mean, things come to this table all the time. But I think over the course of my 20 years here, almost, I've gone home many nights 6-1. I mean, you know, so the bottom line is I'm going to do my job. I am not intimidated by nobody. I don't care what the weather is. It can be a tsunami coming. I don't get intimidated. It can be a hurricane, category 5. I don't care. And we got to understand that Alderman Perkins is going to represent the people. I'm going to do that. So I don't care all this little talk, small talk, big talk. I don't care what you say. So I'm not to be intimidated. So I don't know why it's so hard for people to understand that. But I'm not going to be intimidated. You can talk about me. I mean, you can say whatever you want to say about me. I do not care. But the bottom line is the people want to be heard. If you don't like the message, see, that's what has happened this term too much. There have been too many people concerned about the messenger as opposed to the message. You know, don't take your talk out against Alderman Perkins. I mean, I'm going to, as long as Ward 6 and keep sending me here, I keep deciding to run, I'm going to be here. So, you know, I mean, that's just the bottom line. If I disagree with somebody, I'm not going to just try to, you know, I'm going to be respectful about it. So, but the bottom line is, the people want this. I am their public servant. As long as I'm here, I'm going to try to have the best legacy that I can. And so when my days are done, when Alderman Roy A. Perkins' days are done, it doesn't matter what man says about me, because my servant is my God Almighty. And I want him to say that I have been a faithful servant. I have been a great servant. And so that's what I'm going to do. So I want to take the time to say that, because I don't know about think they're going to intimidate me with this little talk. So, but the bottom line is the people want to vote on it. So, you know, we're going to take the vote, and if everybody vote against it, that's fine. I'm going to do what my constituents want. So I just wanted to take that time so it's nothing political, and so when we represent people here, you know, you don't assume things. You have to, you know, that's what, you know, you have to get your facts. You know, I made a representation, what the people say. This is nothing political. I represent people. I'm their voice. I'm the voice of people that may be left out or locked out, people that don't have any voice. I'm their voice. That's why I ran for this office. And I'm going to be their voice. I am their alderman. I'm going, and I also, people who live outside my ward. I let them know that I'll express it. So I just wanted to take the time to say that. And like the comments, I wasn't intending to be this long. But since that came out, I was not going to leave here tonight with that being unsaid. So, but I want the reporters to be clear tonight that this is what the people want. They want to be heard. Make sure you get that right, Mr. Reporters. Y'all, so I can read it in the morning. They read. I want y'all to get it right, not wrong. The people want to be heard, and Alderman Perkins saying give the people the right to vote, and the certificate of participation process does not allow for a vote. So if the motion passed, this will give the people the right to hear, the right to participate through the voting process. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Further discussion. Alderman Sister.
I want to kind of put a bow on this if I could. I think the comments that we've heard here at the table tonight showed what a difficult issue this has become through the years for the city of Starkville, for the board, and for the community at large. It is a pressing need. It needs to be addressed. The only solution that seems to be a workable solution and still maintains that fiscal responsibility is the one that we adopted back in the summer. I appreciate very much that Alderman Perkins would bring a request from his constituents forward to the board. The timing of it is very awkward because there was a ruling today that validated these certificates of participation and allow us to move forward with this process. So the timing again is awkward, but it is an issue that has lingered for years and years and years. We have much pressing business to be done here in the city of Starkville, from infrastructure to economic development and on and on and on. And until we can get past some of these issues, and this one we seem to have found a workable path to get past, we won't be able to start to tackle those other issues. So I'm proud of the four people that took a very difficult position of saying popular or unpopular, political or not political, we're going to do what we think is in the best interest of the city of Starkville, and we're going to solve this problem. I hope that at the end of this process we have solved this problem and that we move on to other city business. There's much work to be done, and we need to be moving on to that other work.
Further discussion. Alderman Vaughn.
I really didn't come in tonight to say anything. I just come to have a peaceful night. But these 3 years have been a hell of a 3 years. To sit here and see this board make so many biased decisions. So many decisions. So many segregated decisions. And when Alderman Perkins brings some here, it's dead on arrival. I mean, a man been on this board for 20 years, his 5th term. You probably were 7, 8 years old. Some of you were younger than that. Been practicing law 20-something years, and I mean, he don't have a decision about nothing. Whatever he bring, it already knocked down before he get through talking. And all them from Ward 4, you say what wearing you down? What wearing you down when we're making bad, stupid decisions? Just when you can't sleep. When you make good, sound decisions, you can go home and go to sleep. When you feel like you've been fair to everybody, you can go to sleep. You don't be wore down. You're wearing down because we making decision does not benefit every citizen of Starkville. That's why our decision, that's why we can't sleep. That's why we can't rest. But for it's personal vandalism against this man. Why so much personal things against him? I don't care what he bring. If in another one of all of them had brought this, it would have been unanimous voted. Unanimous. If somebody else had brought it. If he had just tweaked it just a little bit, everybody around the table would have voted. But when it come down to a man been here all these years with his integrity and the character that he have about himself, I don't care what he bring on this board, y'all knock it down. And that is nothing but personal, very bad decision that we have, and it's nothing but, to me, it ain't showing nothing but racism among us. That's all it's showing. It's not showing no justice. And we sit up here and say the American look to the flag. Justice for all. How is justice for all? How is it justice for the people on Carver Drive when you sit there and told them that's too much money put down there on that ditch? How is that justice? But you can sit here and do all this other stuff. You can't sleep. Just like Dr. Zellman said, I'll be glad when this term is over. This is the worst I ever seen in my life, and I have been in many meetings and meeting with many people, but this is the worst thing I ever been in my life, and I'll be glad when this term is over.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Alderman Perkins' motion, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, please signify by raising your hand. By a vote of 3 in favor with 4 against, this measure fails. The next matter on the agenda is a request for approval of a budget amendment for an increase in restricted funds as required by the Mississippi Department of Employment Security. Do you want?
Sure. There's, you missed number 1.
Which one?
You missed
Finance
number 5.
administration.
Oh, excuse me. Next matter on the agenda is a request for approval of the City of Starkville claims docket for all departments except for the fire department as of December 13th, 2012. Discussion.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Sistrunk to approve of the fire department claims docket for all departments except for the fire department as of December 13th, 2012, as presented. Alderman Sistrunk, is that your motion?
Yes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Corey. Alderman Sistrunk, do you wish to speak on the merits? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
By a vote of 5 in favor with 2 against, this measure passes. The next matter on the agenda is a request for approval of a budget amendment for an increase in restricted funds as required by the Mississippi Department of Employment Security. You want to introduce?
Sure. This request basically stems from a letter that we got from Employment Security. We've traditionally held between $64,000 and $68,000 in reserve. It's something basically it's a fund that we draw from to cover unemployment, bills for reimbursement that come from them. And in a stress test that they recently did, they determined that we were not carrying enough. And so this request, they've sent us a demand, I hate to say a demand letter, but a demand letter saying that we need to be carrying, basically that we have until December 20th to run that up to $74,000. The request here would take it to 80, and that's just so that we have some room in there to cover additional additional increases in our employee pool over time. So the reason for the short notice is because we got short notice on this. We went through 3 rounds of conversation with them, hoping that we could provide enough where they'd be comfortable with our current level of sort of restricted funding, but no, they're insistent that we go to this number. The important thing to remember, I guess, to note here is that this money is not leaving the city. This is just money that we are restricting. It stays in our pooled account, but we are just establishing a separate vehicle to track it. And so, but the only way to do that was to sort of fully account for it. And so that's what's the play.
That's a $20,000 transfer. Move approval.
Motion has been made by Alderman Dumas to approve of a budget amendment for an increase in restricted funds as required by the Mississippi Department of Employment Security as presented. Alderman Dumas, that's your motion?
It is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Parker. Alderman Dumas, you wish to speak on the merits?
I do not.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. That will conclude the open session portion.
Closed session to determine the need of an executive session.
Alderman Dumas has made a motion to go into a closed session to determine whether there is a need for an executive session. Alderman Dumas, is that your motion?
It is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Corey. Alderman Dumas, do you wish to speak on the merits?
I do not.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. At this time, I'll ask that everybody clear the room so that we can go into a closed session to determine whether there's a need for an executive session.